The road had been long and arduous. Calling it a road is a laughable metaphor, as you had scaled nearly sheer cliffs, been battered by sudden and inclement weather, slept hardly a wink on many a precarious precipice. You'd also drunk the cleanest water you'd ever tasted, came upon nests of hippogriffs that were shockingly docile, discovered time-forgotten ruins dug in at impossible heights. And all of this doesn't even compare to the majesty of the creature you set out to find, the hardship of learning you endured at its feet. Your questions answered only brought on more, and you found the days, months, and years passing by in service to the wisdom of the Ki-rin. Your humble and disciplined lives as acolytes to this holiest of teachers has prepared you for where you are now. Each of you come from one of many corners of the world. Each came for different reasons, discovered different truths. But all of you stayed for the same learning, and all of you departed with the same goal. What you share of your past is yours to decide. What you have in the present is already shared by your companions. And while you take a moment to contemplate the peace and serenity you leave behind you, the likely dangerous journey you have ahead, none of you hesitate to step forward into the now wild and unfamiliar lands beyond your master's domain. Roll a survival check.
Okay. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them. Hello, celestial beings. I am Encounter This co-host James Pinnacle Kid, and today Freeman Cloudsitter Eyston will be taking us through the lore and mechanics of Ki-rin, found in Wizards of the Coast, Volo's Guide to Monsters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, found on pages 163 to 164. Take us there, Freeman.
Okay, so very first thing is to discuss how to pronounce this monster's name. We did not discuss this beforehand. According to the Forgotten Realms wiki, it's pronounced Ki-rin or Ki-rin, with the emphasis on the second syllable.
Okay.
I take a bit of issue with this, which we'll get into later, simply because of the creature that it is inspired from in the IRL lore and how that should be pronounced.
Okay.
But however you want to say it, from here on out, I'm going to be calling it the Ki-rin, with a bit of emphasis on both syllables.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ki-rin.
Okay. Just to keep things smooth and consistent.
Just start it off, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I understand where you get key, because that's how that word should be pronounced.
The hyphen, I'll tell you right now, the hyphen is put in there purely for aesthetic reasons. It's not meant to be there. I don't know why it's there at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, think like Ki-rin Ichiban, the beer. That's literally, the beer is named after the creature that this is inspired by. Ki-rin.
There's your fact of the podcast right there.
I don't know what Ichiban means, but Ki-rin is there. In any case, the Ki-rin appears as far back as the first edition, the only exception being 4th edition. It's the only one that was left out of. So it appears in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
And it looks fucking dope in 3rd edition. It looks like awesome. A majestic unicorn with a mane.
Yeah, I suggest to any of our listeners who do decide to become patrons, you'll have access to our show notes, and I've started hopefully a trend of putting the images in our show notes so that we can quickly reference them.
Speaking of patron, we should give out a shout out to our first ever Patreon. That's not me, because I literally promised this on Night Hags, and I re-listened to it this morning because it dropped today.
Yeah.
His name is Corey Naish.
Corey
Naish. Thank you, Corey Naish.
A good friend of mine from back home in East Coast Canada, and I woke up this morning to 2 text messages. One of them was James screaming to the high heavens, "We have our first patron," and the other one was Corey saying, "I had to take a moment and stop sipping my coffee and frown when you made a bad pun." And he pretty much became a patron right after that.
That's amazing.
It's great.
Yeah, I did want to make sure we pointed that out, because as one of my best friends, Josh Unrec, General Ham Solo on Twitter, tweeted out that we are now technically professionals. We're getting paid to do this.
Amazing. How cool is that? How cool is that? We're not just being paid out of your credit card.
I mean, that was $1. Like, Patreon hasn't even paid that out yet. But, yeah.
In any case, let's get back to
Ki-rin.
Ki-rin. So they are noble and celestial creatures, and in the outer planes, the Ki-rin will serve deities of good and take a direct role in the fight against the fight and struggle between good and evil. In the mortal world, they are harbingers of destiny, guardians of the sacred, and a counterbalance to evil.
Specifically a counterbalance. Okay, that's interesting.
That seems to be the role that they are meant to play, and they probably see themselves as playing, and the gods they serve would see them as this as well. Now, they are considered to be good personified, considered to be the embodiment of good. Merely seeing one can strike awe and fear into any observer. There's a really good quote in Volo's Guide to Monsters.
I was just going to ask about that.
Yeah, it's so good, and it's from Volo himself, and it reads, "I was awed to tears at the sight of my first Ki-rin, and I've met gods." That's cool.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, so they are a magnificently beautiful creature and just awe-inspiring. They typically take on the form of a stag, roughly the size of an elephant. And they're covered in golden scales, complemented with golden fur. Their mane and tail are dark gold, and their cloven hooves copper, along with a spiraled horn atop their head.
I sense a theme in your episodes.
Very luxurious. Their eyes emit a luminous violet color, and in a breeze or when flying, their mane and tail can appear as if they are ablaze with holy golden fire. However, these descriptions can vary depending on the deity they serve, though coloration remains consistent throughout. Some take the shape of a horse and resemble a giant unicorn and serve as holy guardians, while others will take on more draconic features and are hyper-aggressive against evil.
Really?
Yeah. And while a single horn is most common, an especially fierce Ki-rin can sometimes bear 2 horns or antlers of a great stag.
A binacorn.
Binacorn. Dos alicorns.
Dos alicorns.
Their physical appearance in 3rd edition was much more unicorn-like, but still scaly, and their mane is like really big like a lion's. Just before we started recording, you said to me that 3rd edition looks awesome.
It does. Yeah. I think I said that on mic too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Fairly confident. That was one of the first things I commented on.
Now it's been said twice. Everyone go to the Forgotten Realms wiki and take a look at the 3rd edition.
There aren't a lot of things. I think this word is overused, quite like epic these days. But I really do find this creature to be absolutely majestic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just wait till you learn more about them, because that's a perfect
I'm excited. Yeah.
So they are bringers of boons.
What a dumb sentence.
They're the boon bringers.
Boon bringers. I don't like that word.
Common folk in the material world consider Ki-rin to be rare and remote heralds of good fortune.
What the? Okay.
That's a direct quote. Rare and remote heralds of good fortune.
Okay, rare and remote.
Yeah.
Probably a comma. Heralds of good fortune.
No.
Okay, then there's a first part of the sentence that would modify that, because remote heralds of good fortune is not a thing that makes sense in a sentence. Ki-rin are rare, and they're remote heralds of good fortune. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense.
I think the word remote in there is just meant to emphasize the rarity. Like, you don't. Not only do you seldom see them, but if you do, and they're in remote places.
Okay.
But in those places, they are heralds of good fortune.
All right, that makes sense.
Grammatics.
I mean, it just blew my mind wide open for a hot second there. It's pretty late here, listeners. But
so, spying when flying overhead is seen as a blessing, and if a Ki-rin descends during a birth or a coronation, is believed to be a sign of great good in the future. A Ki-rin flying over great battles is said to inspire and strengthen the side of good, and they may even rescue heroes on the brink of death.
That's an interesting one to me, but we can move on.
We'll definitely explore that. In the material plane, the Ki-rin will choose a territory to watch over, and this territory could encompass several nations. On other planes, a Ki-rin that has chosen to serve a good deity,
capital G,
will go where commanded, and this could include the material plane for particular missions or goals.
Okay.
Good deities that a Ki-rin will be attracted to usually represent courage, loyalty, selflessness, and truth. An example given would be Torm from Faerun, or perhaps his allies Tyr and Ilmater.
Ilmater, the triad.
Yeah, the triad. The triad and gods of good. Now, according to the 2nd edition book, Monster Mythology by Carl Sargent, They had a patron deity named Coriel. I found nothing about it, though. But it was one. I think they embodied a Ki-rin themselves, or Coriel did.
Okay. Kind of like the patron saint of unicorns?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the Forgotten Realms wiki references pointed towards the 3rd edition Oriental Adventures book by James Wyatt. 5th edition is the only edition not to receive a version of Oriental Adventures so far.
I wonder why that could possibly be.
I knew you were going to cringe at that. So Oriental Adventures has been a supplement or setting book that has existed since before 5e.
I'm well familiar with it. That's what Jade Regent Pathfinder is based on.
Is it? Okay.
Is the Oriental Adventures.
Yeah. Now, Ki-rins are also considered objects of adoration. Like, they're renowned for their wisdom. Other creatures naturally seek them out for answers to questions or to make requests. This causes the Ki-rin to make their home in difficult to reach places, such as on top of a formidable mountain peak or other nearly impossible to reach places.
They hate questions almost as much as I do.
Like, shoo fly, don't bother me.
Go ask the Ki-rin. They'll know. Where do you find it? On top of the mountain? What the fuck?
Well, okay, no, hold on. So they do this for the purpose it's a way for those who can find the fortitude or have the tenacity to reach the layer that they're deemed worthy of its wisdom.
Yeah. This is actually a common trope in Eastern religions and cultures. That's why a lot of the more higher end temples are built high up.
Right, yeah. So many who seek the guidance of a Ki-rin are awarded, and they often end up in the service of the Ki-rin as disciples.
That I like.
Yeah, they will serve as scouts, messengers, or spies, or as acolytes or monks under its tutelage. They may travel the land seeking news of growing evil, or become champions for their master's cause, and fight against evil and villainy. It seems to me that those who serve a Ki-rin reflect a Ki-rin serving their own chosen god. This is just like something that I thought of as I was sort of covering this. There's like a pseudo hierarchy in that, where the Ki-rin in the material plane seems to be this teacher, this master for those who seek it out, but Ki-rins in the outer planes will seek out the master of a good god.
Right.
So if a Ki-rin is sent by, they will seek out a god to serve, and then this god will send them to the material plane, where in turn they sort of act like a material plane deity themselves. So wisdom, and you had to be deemed worthy to serve them, and that sort of thing.
Okay, I like all that. How are they made?
Don't know.
Okay.
That definitely never ever covered that. They seem to be, they just exist. They exist in the outer planes, and especially in the celestial areas.
So choose your own adventure, listeners.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Lots of room
that's
for
cool.
that.
I like that.
So we'll look at the real life lore at this point.
Sorry, I just got this picture of Tyr, the one-armed god, breaking in a Ki-rin. Just taming it like a Mustang.
Well, they are not wild. They are not. Do not confuse them with a unicorn. That's for sure.
Yeah,
they are highly intelligent creatures.
Oh yeah,
massively. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm going to stop trying to jump ahead. I don't know why this episode's got my brain spinning.
Oh, these creatures are cool. So we look at the real life mythology. That they're specifically inspired by a creature from Chinese and East Asian cultures. The spelling in the D&D version comes from the Japanese version of this creature, the Ki-rin, Kirin. Now, the wiki page that I got most of my information from, and all the references, it covers the more Chinese version. And this creature also appears in most cultures, like Korean and Vietnamese being pretty prominent, and I think a bit in Thailand as well. But now, the Qilin spelling, the sort of anglicized version of the Chinese word, a friend of mine, Jonathan, who is a big fan of like Asian and Chinese culture. He's all into like the tea and proper tea service and ceremonies and all that stuff. And so I asked him, I was like, I think you would have a better idea how to pronounce this. I was having a hard time finding something that would help me pronounce this word.
Yeah, trust me, I know that game.
Yeah, and he specified that there's certain ways to pronounce certain syllables in a lot of, especially Mandarin, I think he said, and sometimes each syllable will take a dip. Its own dip. So I'm going to do my best, but it's supposed to be pronounced something along the lines of Ki-rin. And so this creature, the Ki-rin, is considered a mythical and chimerical creature, and is said to appear during the imminent arrival or passing of a sage or illustrious ruler. It belongs to a specific category of one-horned mythological beasts known as lin. And I did not dive into the other beasts for two reasons. One, there was no easily accessible article that discussed this category that I could find. And there's already so much here for the Ki-rin that it would just take too much time. I was diving a little bit and found a few creatures that occasionally would have a single horn, but it was becoming too much to absorb and certainly organize.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So the Ki-rin are considered to be a symbol of many things. Among them, luck, good omens, protection, prosperity, success, and longevity, and to some degree also a symbol of fertility. Physically, they share Chinese dragon-like features, particularly their heads, eyes with thick lashes and manes that flow upward along with the beards. The body will be fully or partially scaled and resemble an ox, deer, or horse, and always depicted with cloven hooves.
Okay.
Chinese dragons also have antlers, so it's common to see a Ki-rin with antlers as well. Same goes for the usual golden color that a Chinese dragon usually has. The Ki-rin is often represented as such, but the color can range from any color of the rainbow. They can be multicolored, and this goes for fur, hide, and scales alike. Ki-rin can be depicted as having certain body parts on fire, and some will have fluffy, curly tufts of hair or feathery features. Apparently, the fluffy tufts are common in Ming Dynasty horse art, specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, so just on their definitely. Ankles and that sort of thing, it's a very common feature.
100% agree.
As you would know, James,
can confirm.
Fluffy tufts are common in the Ming Dynasty horse art. They may even have decorative fish-like fins or carp-like whiskers, or even fish-like scales, as opposed to these more dragony ones.
Okay.
Often depicted as bejeweled or as what? What did I do?
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
Often depicted as bejeweled or as beautiful as jewels themselves, like a Chinese dragon. They are usually colored in a fashion to represent the elements, precious metals, stars, or gemstones, but they can have more modest earthy tones of brown as well. Their voices are said to sound like the tinkling of bells, chimes, or the wind, and they could walk on grass without disturbing it.
Okay, that's all really neat information. I do have probably the question of the hour. How are they different from Chinese dragons then?
They have the big thing on the physical point is that they have the body of an ox, horse, or deer.
Gotcha.
They very much have those dragon-like heads, and they do have the scales, and they do share all these other elements.
Yeah, and the manes and the Ming Dynasty horse tufts.
Exactly. And to some degree, there is a tier of power amongst mythical creatures in these Asian cultures, which I will dive into in just a moment.
Oh, cool.
I don't know much about it, but I do touch on it in the notes here. So, mythological and sort of cultural variants in Taoist mythology, it states that despite their fearsome appearance, they only punish the wicked.
And we know for a fact that that's pronounced Taoist.
Taoist. Oh, that's a T there.
Yep. That's
okay. I don't know. You know. I don't know.
That's the faith that I follow.
Fair enough. This resulted in variations in telling of court trials or judgments based on Ki-rin knowing whether or not a defendant was good or evil and guilty or innocent. So in tales, like sort of tales in this mythology, literal court trials would be determined based on one of these mythical creatures, like knowledge.
A lot of the information for this belief is passed on via, what is the term when it's a story, but it's not really about the thing, but the end is about the thing?
An anecdote?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's a lot of
parable?
A parable. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of the information is passed along via parable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Fair enough. And that makes sense to have this mythical creature that's all wise and very 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 powerful, and it has this sort of innate ability to know whether or not someone is good or evil, guilty or innocent.
It would reinforce it at the end of the parable.
For sure.
Reinforce the veracity of it.
In Buddhist depictions of the Ki-rin, they say that they refuse to walk on grass for fear of hurting even a single blade. So they are often seen walking on water or a cloud.
Cool.
Yeah. As divine beings, their diets do not include flesh, and they are careful to never tread upon any other living creature. Appearing only in areas ruled by a wise leader, they become fierce and aggressive when a pure person is targeted or attacked by a malicious one.
It sounds very Jainist.
Agreed. Don't know what that.
Off air, we'll go into a little bit of Janus theory. Yeah.
And these ones in the Buddhist depictions specifically will spout fires from their mouths, and other power they have other powers that vary from story to story as well. Yeah. In Korea, Ki-rin or Ki-rin with a G for the first one, they have been extensively used in royal and Buddhist arts, and are among the 4 divine creatures alongside the dragon, the phoenix, and the turtle.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they were that high up.
In Japan, Ki-rin, they tend to be depicted more deer-like than in Chinese culture, and tend to be more unicorn-like, but with a backwards curving horn.
That adds up.
Yeah. And if you look at the second edition art, it has the backwards curving horn.
Oh, cool.
In Chinese culture, they are represented as the third most powerful creature, behind the dragon and the phoenix. In Japan, however, they occupy the top spot for power.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder why there's not... I can't think of a Pokemon like this. Maybe X? Is X one of these?
I'm out of the loop after Gold and Silver, pretty much, to be honest. I played a couple of them, but I never put any of them to memory.
Listeners, is the one from X, is that a Ki-rin? Also, if you know a whole lot about Japanese culture, is that horn curved backwards to mimic the curve in the katana?
We're going to pause for 30 seconds while you yell into your headset the answer. Go. Okay, 30 seconds is a long time.
Yeah. How about you just tweet at us?
Yeah, that works too. So there are a few origins and famous appearances for the Qilin. We've got, the earliest references date back to as early as 5th century BCE.
Wow.
It's appeared in both works of history and fiction, such as the famous 16th century novel by Feng Shen Bang. I'm not saying that right, that's for sure. Or otherwise known as The Creation of the Gods.
Okay.
Yeah. And apparently Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty had captured one live in 122 BCE. But Sima Qian, I'm going to go with that, who is considered the grandfather of Chinese historiography, which is a word, apparently. Who was also from the Han Dynasty, who was very skeptical of this claim, understandably. Legends tell of a Qilin appearing in the garden of the famous Yellow Emperor and in the capital of Emperor Yao. Both are a part of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, which are a part of 2 categories of mythological rulers and deities in ancient northern China. It is also said a Qilin foretold of the birth of the great Chinese sage Confucius.
Cool.
More information on Confucius and the rulers and deities, I highly recommend, and this is my second time recommending this, a video by John Green in Crash Course World History. It's episode 7.
Right. And
he covers that, and there's a whole history surrounding the creation they are fictional rulers of China. We now know for a fact they were fictional. They never existed. But for a long, long time, there was this trend of pretending these rulers would become deities and become mythological rulers. And so, like, real ones would die or would be defeated by one that was more superior. And it was there's this whole like cyclical learning your lesson, justifying the next ruler as being good kind of thing that started with a fictional tale, I believe, surrounding the Yellow Emperor and that sort of thing. And Confucius was a huge part of documenting all of this. So that video was super cool. It's not long; it's like 12 minutes, maybe. Highly recommend.
Remind me, and we'll link that in the show notes.
Definitely. So during the Ming Dynasty, a Chinese mariner, explorer, and diplomat, Zhang He, had ventured into East Africa, modern-day Somalia, and purchased giraffes from Somali merchants, along with zebras, incense, and other exotic animals.
Love where this is going.
The giraffes were referred to as Qilin when they returned to Nanjing by the emperor. He proclaimed them magical creatures whose capture signaled the greatness of his power.
I didn't do anything, but these are fucking awesome, and you should worship me.
Exactly.
Cool.
Attributes the Qilin are thought to have certain attributes of the Qilin are thought to have come from these giraffes, and these include vegetarianism and quiet nature, the ability to walk on grass without disturbing it, quote unquote, possibly due to the giraffe's long and thin legs.
Yeah, they would space it out real hard.
Antler or horn-like features, along with scaled appearances, possibly from the giraffes' ossicones. Their horns are called ossicones, and the tessellated pattern on their coat. To this day, the words for giraffe and Ki-rin in Japanese and Korean remain the same word.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now,
giraffes have antlers, right? They're not horns.
They are ossicones.
Okay, so there's something completely different.
It's right in there,
okay.
quote. I didn't look into what ossicones were exactly, but they have their own category.
Yeah, because horns are bone, antlers are cartilage that falls off.
Right.
Ossicones is probably cartilage that doesn't fall off. Okay,
Yes.
more modern strokes.
More modern strokes of the Ki-rin. Some stories indicate that the Ki-rin were sacred pets or familiars of deities.
Okay.
As such a ritual dances of Chinese culture, the Ki-rin ranks high in the hierarchy, third, in fact, behind the dragon and the phoenix.
Gotcha. So we got first and third.
Yeah. However, Wiki had no citation for this, and I could not find anything to support that exact claim when it comes to the ritual dances. Ki-rin dance movements are characterized by fast, powerful strokes of the head and is regarded as a difficult dance to perform due to the weight of the head and the need for quick and sudden bursts of movement and energy. Ki-rin is also often translated into English as unicorn, as is occasionally depicted to have a signal horn. The whole reason I had chosen to do this creature, because I immediately thought, that I was like, here's the other single horn creature in 5e.
Yeah.
I'll explore that and unicorn back to back.
I think it's a great choice, and I'm so far I'm really loving the order that you did it in, because everything about the Ki-rin is everything that I think should have been true about the unicorn.
Totally. Absolutely. Oh man, we're hard on these creatures.
So, anything under CR10 we're pretty hard on.
Now in the Chinese language, I believe Mandarin specifically, there is a separate word for unicorn. I've written it there. I'm not even going to remotely attempt to say that. I don't know if you want to.
Dujiaishao.
Perfect. Which that specifically means one-horned beast. So that's what they use for unicorn.
For the record, that's probably not accurate. I have no experience with neither Cantonese, Mandarin, or any of the regional dialects. I speak English and bad French, and even worse German.
And I'm not even quite there. Because
white language.
Because there are a number of one-horned mythological creatures, when depicted with a one-horn, the Ki-rin will be referred to as a one-horned Ki-rin.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. And because of the shared similarities of the Ki-rin and the Western unicorn, such as whimsical, supernatural, mythical, and even religious origins, the Chinese government actually minted a coin in the 90s with a Ki-rin on one side and the unicorn on the other. And I put a little link there.
Awesome!
And it looks great. It's
I want to add that to my collection.
It's a very.
Are they? Do you know if they're expensive?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm going to try and track one of those down.
That'd be sweet.
I got some cool coins in my collection, so that'd be an interesting addition.
Now, differences and similarities in those lores, I think a tremendous amount is shared here. Even if not, I mean, of course, when we dive into the real world lore, it's always like it changes from culture to culture, geographically, religiously, and definitely along whatever timeline they sort of were believed in.
Yeah, but not to get too general, but East Asia seems to be kind of a general melting pot for mythologies.
For sure. And the this one, I feel like everything in the 5e, almost everything in the 5e description and lore was hit on at some point. Mm-hmm. There's so much from the demeanor to their physical attributes. It's covered.
Except for the relation to the giraffe. Yes, I agree completely.
Yeah, for sure. Even in brief moments of them, like they served or visited supposed deities. So we're familiar with them, a familiar of them, or a servant. Symbolizing protection and from evil and they were symbolized as divine.
Actually, a lot of those lessons seem to come specifically from the Buddhist version that you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
so that's
more,
cool.
Yeah, the more moral ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean the divinity or the deities, the demeanor, the not touching the grass, the good omen, as well as I'm sure there are some real monasteries dedicated to the legacy of the Ki-rin. Mm-hmm. Or
Ki-rin. Now, I found no mention in the real world lore of them being sages themselves or living high atop a mountain at all.
And I think that also comes back to the Buddhist monasteries that would be high up in the mountains because you had to fucking earn enlightenment.
Definitely. I found no evidence of the ability to fly other than the mention of them walking water or possibly being on a cloud. It didn't really say if they were seen on a cloud high above you or maybe they just were, standing on some fog right in front of you.
I'm just picturing Nimbus from Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was thinking of. The D&D seems to have the D&D version seems to have amalgamated them with a couple Chinese dragon elements, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the physical ones.
Yeah, I think it's my guess is it's due to the fact they already have a huge range of dragons, probably more of that traditional European Norse kind of style across the board. So they probably didn't want not muddle. Muddle's the wrong word. They didn't want to overcomplicate the range of dragons by adding a totally separate one. So it seems like they, instead of making a Chinese dragon or a version of a Chinese dragon within the game, exactly. Dilute, that's the word. They didn't want to dilute the register they already had. So instead of making specifically a Chinese dragon creature for D&D, they seem to have put some of the elements that they would be into this Ki-rin or Qilin.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think the main physical attribute of Chinese dragons is that they don't fly, and we see a lot of that in drakes. Drakes in D&D do not fly.
Right. Yeah. It's important to note that I saw no mention of a Ki-rin being ridden as a mount. However, a Ki-rin apparently was ridden by a Ki-rin rider in the Takashi Miike film, The Great Yokai War, which I think was from 2005. And it was...
Must have missed that one.
Yeah, it's also available as a mount in the online Final Fantasy 14 game. And if you Google search it, it looks pretty fucking cool, to be honest.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. But otherwise, I don't believe these creatures were ever intended to be something to be ridden.
You don't tend to ride the envoy of a god, but who am I to judge?
But not even the gods themselves deign to mount them.
I mean, if a hag can ride in a cauldron, I'm sure some sort of halfling paladin
or a house on chicken legs.
Yeah, I can probably ride a Ki-rin. It's your game, listeners.
So these examples are clearly separate from the usual folklore and mythology surrounding the creatures.
Cool. No, I like that a lot. You know what else I like, Freeman?
What's that?
Delicious Blackmail beer that I just spilled on my keyboard again.
You just replaced that laptop.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's still under warranty, but
thankfully we have blackmail to. If you did destroy it, you would have blackmail to make up for it.
That's so
to treat
true.
yourself right and make yourself feel better.
And treat yourself, listeners, if you live in the Vancouver area, to a delicious can of Blackmail Stout.
My friend Corey again was messaging me about how he wished he could get some. He was trying to find it at the store in New Brunswick, East Coast. He was like, no way, man, you're never gonna find that.
No,
he definitely misses it.
So boutique.
Yeah. And he actually did ask if he's like, are you actually sponsored? I was like, no. They've given us some cans, but, Yeah. I don't even think anyone's listening over there, though. So
Probably not.
It's fine. It's fine.
I guess also we should shout out a big thank you to Libris Arcana. They're going to... we're going to do a giveaway when we reach 150 followers on Facebook or 250 followers on Facebook. I can't remember. But go like us on Facebook. We're facebook.com/encounterthis, and you could be the lucky winner to a free 1-month dice subscription.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big fan of personally.
James has a incredible and constantly growing collection of dice.
It is out of control. We're getting so around 40 sets or something like that. It's getting bad.
I've got I think at this point I've got 2.5 sets because I've lost some, and I still managed to forget to bring them to the sessions.
Oh, man. Mechanically, that's not even viable. Speaking of mechanics,
take
us to the action, Freeman.
All right, so here I'm predicting that you're going to be less than enthused with this creature.
All right, let's find out.
But so we've got a CR 12 as the second highest, the Rakshasa being a 13, which was our highest so far. These guys have stats that are high right across the board. Lowest being 16 for Dex and Con, but they have a 21 Strength, 19 Intelligence, and 20 Wisdom and Charisma.
Okay.
So AC's 20.
That's huge for 16 Dex.
Yeah, big time. What we're looking at, 16 will add a +3, right, at that point. So
yeah.
their natural armor is going to be
17 for scales.
17
I wonder
for
if,
scales
I wonder
all
if
over
that's
the body.
consistent. I wonder if that compares to Yanti at all.
I think it's probably, I don't know, but I would imagine a lot of it comes from the fluffy tufts on its ankles as a distraction, you know?
Directly inspired by the Ming Dynasty.
You're having a really hard time destroying this flying horse art, which, by the way, does have a fly speed.
Okay, cool.
At 120 feet per round.
That makes
it can
sense.
hover. On ground, it's 60 feet, but like that bitch is flying.
Yeah, I mean, why would you fly when you can hover?
Crazy. They are a huge creature.
Okay, interesting.
And celestial, of course. They were magical beasts in 3rd edition.
Right.
But they are big. They are not small.
Yeah, I always pictured them as large.
Yeah, they're not meant to be not meant to be ride. Ridden. They were.
Sounds like a Guns N' Roses song.
They're lawful good, and this is the case across all editions they've been featured in.
Okay, cool. I like that. I love it when there's some consistency across the editions.
Yeah,
I think that's really neat.
It's cool. They speak all languages. And I believe that's consistent across all editions as well, to some degree anyway. But they speak all languages, and they do it telepathically up to 120 feet.
I think that's a very unique trait as well.
You don't see that very often.
No, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Right. We're talking a powerful and intelligent creature. That's only going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I can handle a party of 4 level 7 PCs.
Yeah. Now they've got a dark vision 120 feet.
Okay.
Which is a little bit, mundane, I guess. But they do have blind sight for 30 feet.
That's cool.
Which is pretty nifty. High passive perception, +9 to perception and insight, and +8 to religion.
It's weird to me that that's the weak one, but it's also an intelligence skill versus the other 2 that are wisdom skills.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Probably the reason, yeah.
I also
You're looking
don't-
at a 4 versus 5.
Yeah, I also don't cotton that religions, and I mean I understand that it's an intelligence skill, but I feel like it should be wisdom.
They have no resistances or vulnerabilities, but they are immune to poison and the poisoned condition.
Don't poison anything, listeners.
Especially if it's celestial.
It honestly a celestial undead fiends, it's like it at this point it kind of seems useless.
Yeah.
It's only good against the PCs.
Use it on the highwaymen.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Orcs, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll move on to basic traits. They do have innate spellcasting, charisma being their modifier.
Okay.
Spell save DC of 14. I think this is pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super low for a CR12.
I think this is that ability score is interchangeable just for flavor wise because they're both equally as charismatic as they are wives. But,
yeah, I mean that DC to me is like. Well, okay. Let's talk about what the spells are first.
Sure, yeah, of course. So at will, they can use gaseous form, major image at 6th level.
Awesome.
And wind walk. And then once per day, they can use create food and water.
Useless, but
yeah,
the other 3 are pretty good. I don't know Windwalk personally, but
yeah, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I did make a note of it on my phone. The hell that is.
yeah, it's fine.
Now. We've discussed this a number of times and how much issue you take. You've basically got me on your side at this point. How annoying it is to give creatures PC spell casting abilities and that sort of thing. That's why I'm wary about whether you're going to find this creature impressive on a mechanical level.
Yeah.
That create food and water thing ties into the lair. We'll get into later.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's sort of there as. It's sort of there as in a way like we have to put it there for everything to be consistent rather than being something interesting and viable.
Yeah, I understand that it has to be mechanically consistent with the other creatures that they made. I just don't agree with this specific mechanical choice.
For sure.
But the more I read, the more we get into this, the more I'm starting to even get on the side against fancy and magic, and that is a Patreon only exclusive. I'll tell you that. That's going to be hours.
So they do have magic resistance and magic weapons. Kind of makes sense.
Okay, the magic resistance I like. I think that's great. Yeah. That adds to the CR immediately to me.
Yeah. They have what's called legendary resistance. This is the first time I think we've come across this. 3 times a day, they can decide to succeed a failed saving throw.
Yeah, also worth the CR right there. Like that's great. Not only do they have advantage on saving throws, they can just pass. I'm not sure, but I think legendary resistances can be done after the fact. Oh, yes. Yeah, because they're able to succeed on a failed saving
Yeah.
throw. So you can roll it and you're
fail,
just like,
they can be like, nah, I'm succeeding this time.
yeah, I mean, honestly, as the GM, you have that power anyway. Kind of a useless mechanic, but it's cool that it's justified. Rules is written.
Yeah. So now this year might also be a part of their CR. They are an 18th level spellcaster.
Yeah, this I like.
So this right here is going to flip our negative reaction right away. As a spell, innate spellcasting is separate from being a spellcaster. So innate spellcasting that's their natural ability. It's a charisma modifier, and then the DC is 14. As an 18th level spellcaster, it's a wisdom modifier to use,
cool.
and their spell DC is 17.
Yep, that works for me. I like that.
That's going to add up. They have a +9 to hit, and they use cleric spells.
Totally
and they
makes
have
sense.
a huge list prepared.
Yeah, I mean, like any creature, just go through and pick 2 or 3 that you like, and then just fuck about with those. But
so
I like that they're cleric spells. I think that's really thematically consistent.
Yeah, they've got some obvious ones that just fit with the theme for, like, say, under cantrips. They've got Spare the Dying right away in that reference that they might like save a hero on the brink of death in the middle of battle. Sacred Flame. An obvious, like, just simple aggressive action.
Yeah, radiant damage.
Cure wounds in first level. Command. Detect
Command
evil
is
and good.
interesting.
Yeah. Sanctuary. These all fit the mode for sure.
Command's an enchantment spell.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Enchantment.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's enchantment. That's an interesting one. Anyway.
They do also have, like, things like, so second level they have Calm Emotions, Lesser Restoration.
Also an
third
enchantment.
level, Dispel Magic, Remove Curse. These are all very obvious things that someone might seek them out for.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Can you restore me? Can you remove this curse? They have Banishment at the 4th level, Freedom of Movement, Guardian of Faith.
What?
Yeah.
Banishment is weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. But okay, Guardian of Faith is cool. Freedom of Movement's cool. I don't understand why they need freedom of movement, but that's probably... We'll get into homebrews and how to use them in combat, but I don't imagine these being against the PCs like Unicorn.
It's so unlikely that this creature is going to be against the PCs. Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much a buff.
Mm-hmm. A fifth level spell. They got Greater Restoration, Mass Cure Wounds, Scrying. Scrying's not really going to be much use.
Disagree.
Probably.
I think Scrying is a great out of combat mechanic.
Sure.
I
this thing's your ally, and you're seeking out some information that can scry and maybe help you find something.
Yeah, I mean, it also adds kind of like this omnipotentness to dominion over their domain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not particularly familiar with the layers, and we'll get into that, but I think that's where scrying is going to come in, whether or not they have that kind of omnipotence like unicorns do over their lair.
Yeah. So they also have a spell called Hero's Feast and True Seeing.
I don't know what the fuck Hero's Feast is.
I don't know either of those either.
True Seeing, I know. True Seeing is insane.
Is it basically grants you true
we
sight?
We talked about True Seeing.
Did we?
Yeah, it is True Sight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it grants you true sight.
We talked about True Sight, and that is in that bonus episode.
In the bonus episode, yeah.
Earlier,
Jesus, we need to put that out. It may be out by now, listeners.
They also have Etherealness and Plane Shift.
Yeah, great.
Control Weather, which also plays a part into something we'll talk about after.
Okay, super good.
And then True Resurrection.
Yeah, again, thematically very, very appropriate. This is I'd read the spell list because I always immediately read the spell list because they're like just fodder for my rage against most of these creatures. And this one really worked for me. I really like the spell list that they chose.
It fits.
This is the only time I think I've ever read a monster, and I think that the PC spells fit.
Okay.
Because they're divine in origin. So these spells are given to a cleric from their deity.
Right.
So these spells are given to the Ki-rin from the deity that they serve as well. So I think thematically giving them cleric spells is very appropriate. Most of the time I think secondary abilities and all that other stuff is a better choice. But this I think works super well.
Cool. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're not disappointed this time.
Oh, I will be when we get into the actions here.
They got nothing.
Oh, God.
Multi-attack. They got 3 attacks, 2 with hooves, 1 with horn. That's it.
This is the sadness. One is a 2d4 and the other's 2d8. Like, get off my lawn.
Oh, and you know what's even worse? Did you even read the legendary actions? We've covered legendary actions already.
I don't think I did.
The mechanic works the same. I've put in here legendary actions, Lackluster Central. They as a legendary action, they can detect, which means they can use a perception or insight check.
No, useless.
They can smite, which gives them a hoof attack, or cast Sacred Flame.
Yeah, I mean, I'd change that.
The only one that's kind of interesting, is as a legendary action, they can move up to half their speed without provoking.
No, that's super useful. that is so useful.
Yeah, but Oh man, like that's it. That's
like
all I got.
these are clearly not a melee thing. Like this,
Yeah.
the melee attacks are clearly just because everything else has a melee attack. Like there's no
Basically,
just ignore
it
that.
has to be able to kick you and horn you.
Yeah, so the move is like their 5-foot step in Pathfinder or their guarded step in Starfinder. Like get out of there and then cast.
These are courtesy mechanics.
Oh yeah, some of them are. Innate spellcasting like is cool. Like gaseous form is cool. Like major illusion is cool. But like these are get the fuck out of dodge things. But between the spell list, the magic resistance, and the legendary resistance, like these guys could pose a problem.
Sure.
Like you got a 4-person party and you got 3 level 4 slots and you just fucking banish everything and call it a day.
Now this brings us to the lairs and the regional effects of their lair. This, for me, is what makes the Ki-rin the coolest. It's not because the lair is so badass or anything, or even the region effects. It's that once I finished researching this, I started to think about this creature is all about the territory it occupies and the influence it has on it. That in and of itself is just a playground for creativity and writing. And I'll kind of get into something that I had sort of written before that inspired me.
Okay.
When I'm reading this. So, on the celestial planes, Ki-rin will live in areas that are elegant and luxurious. In the material plane, they choose a similar location on top of a tall pinnacle or on a cloud solidified by its own magic.
By the Ki-rin's magic, not the cloud's magic.
Yeah. Don't you judge them clouds.
You can have magic clouds if you want.
Nimbus! From the outside, it is indistinguishable from a natural environment, but the entrance is usually extremely hard to reach. Inside the lair, it is serene and comfortable and will remind you of a mix of a temple and a palace. If the Ki-rin has taken on disciples, it will also serve as a site of worship, instruction, and teaching. While in its lair, the Ki-rin has the ability to conjure objects up to 3 times a day. So there's a mechanic here that's non-combat. This ability is divided into 3 possible versions of conjuration, some of which are permanent.
Okay.
So each of these they can do once a day, or they can do any of these up to 3 times a day. Conjure objects made of soft plant-based material, including manufactured objects such as cloth, pillows, rope, blankets, or clothing.
Or a sweet pair of jeans.
Yeah, sweet pair of jeans. In the 20-foot cube worth or whatever.
20-foot cube worth of jeans.
Yep. They can conjure objects made of wood or similarly hard plant-based objects up to 10-foot cube worth. Those both are permanent. They can just create them and boom, they're there.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
The one that's not permanent is same theme. Objects made of stone and metal,
okay,
up to 2-foot cube worth, not permanent. So they could create like a sword for you kind of thing, but it would dissipate after 1 hour.
I like the idea of it creating like a hearth to build a fire in, and then it just goes away after an hour, but the fire stays.
But I love there is this obvious like they each day they can slowly add something to their lair to make it a more temple and palace or luxurious type place. They can't conjure valuable things like precious metals or gemstones on a permanent basis, but they can create a very and how I picture it, a very monastic environment that's comfortable but simple.
Yeah, I don't like that there's no consistency there. Like stone to me is a natural material, so I would think it would fall under one of the permanent things. Like metal is
I think
refined.
My guess is it's specifically non-permanent because of how a player might try to take advantage of that by saying, "Oh, can you conjure me gemstones?" Or they've conjured like gold and that sort of thing, and someone will take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, I mean that.
Or maybe a dungeon master will misinterpret their ability to make it do it permanently and maybe play the thing the way it wasn't intended to be.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very limited knowledge of geology, and I'm sure mine's even higher than some of those people out there. But I know they're called gemstones, but I'm fairly confident that they are not stones and that they're actually minerals.
That's totally fair. But are minerals stones?
No, they're minerals. They're their own thing.
That's your opinion.
And metal is made up of refined ore, which is a culmination of elements. So those don't fall under like naturally occurring things. So like anything refined, like a gemstone or metal, I think should fall under that. And it's like you want a stone house, just have a stone house.
Yeah.
But you get it 10 feet at a time.
Maybe they should have done something more along those lines. Like stone and metal's fine, but like maybe they can't create what's a metal, or like they can't create steel where it's like a specifically blend of metals.
Yeah,
where
steel is nickel and iron, I think.
Yeah, something along those lines. And maybe they can't like create something that takes a tremendous thousands or millions of years to create, like such as this, the pressure to use to create a diamond.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like anything naturally occurring should. I mean, I guess a diamond and minerals are technically naturally occurring, but something that doesn't require refining,
right? Yeah,
I think would fall better.
It would require a specific process
because most temples are made of stone.
Indeed,
you can't make a hearth without stone, which puts your whole lair squarely in the fire hazard camp. I guess you could dig a big hole, but anyway. Maybe that's covered under the regional effects. Is that covered under the regional effects?
We're about to find out.
Fire.
Away?
I mean, specifically, that's what I'm looking for, because it was covered under unicorn.
So, Ki-rin's celestial nature is what causes the surrounding environs to change, and it has a 3-mile influence.
That's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's
What
big.
is that in English?
We went through this last night.
We did.
What is 3 miles in kilometers?
I'm on it. Just yell it into your earbuds for a quick second.
We'll pause for 30 seconds. You yell the answer at us.
It is 4.83 rounded up kilometers.
Okay, so just under 5K.
I understand that Britain and the UK use miles. I'm Canadian. We're going to use kilometers.
Yeah. And we will alienate you.
I just mean like most English speakers.
Calls out Britain.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that that's just a fun joke that I do. I understand that most English speaking countries still use miles.
Yeah, it's true story. So in these regional effects, with this 3-mile radius of its lair, water flows pure and uncorrupted. Any intentional corrupting will only last 3 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
Animals, plants, and good creatures gain a sort of vigor as they evolve to more idealized form, showing aggression almost exclusively towards natural prey only. Evil creatures can't tolerate the holy atmosphere, quote unquote, and will go out of their way to avoid it and live as far away from the domain of a Ki-rin as they can. Curses, disease, poisons affecting good aligned creatures are suppressed.
Like it.
A Ki-rin can cast control weather. So that was their 8th level spell.
Yeah.
They can cast control weather while it is within 3 miles of its lair. The point of origin is always the closest point to the entrance of the lair. It does not need a clear line of sight to concentrate or alter this spell. Interesting. Yeah. So as long as it is within this 3-mile radius, it can just control the weather, and it is pinpointed basically on its lair. It's specifying almost too much, but it's making it mechanically viable.
Yeah.
For the actual spell. This one's pretty cool. Winds will buoy non-evil creatures that fall due to no act of the Ki-rin, allies, or their own volition. They take no fall damage and descend at a rate of 60 feet per round. So if an enemy were to knock you over a cliff, for example, or you were to accidentally slip, you will fall at a rate of 60 feet per round per 6 seconds, and you will not take any fall damage. The winds will guide you down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, should the Ki-rin die, the effects are extinguished immediately, but the invigoration of the flora and fauna remains for 3 years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that they have a lasting effect.
For sure. And I thought it was really cool. It is their celestial presence that it says, their celestial nature that causes the surrounding environments to change and be influenced and specifically transformed.
Yeah.
And they these animals and plants, it very specifically says they evolve to a more idealized form.
That word might be trademarked by the Pokemon company at this point. But yeah. Digimon? Digimon?
We just bring Corey H up again real quick because now he's a celebrity here to encounter this.
Oh, yeah.
He said he was very specifically excited for our Digimon episode.
I mean, you up that to $10 a month, and then you can choose the creature. And I'll give you an hour episode on Agumon.
There you go, Corey.
Tentamon was always my jam, but let's do this. Well, you can come on and guest host.
Yeah. I'm sure you would love that.
You and me, the original Digidestin. We'll do this.
Okay, so personal experience. I think neither of us have any.
Absolutely none.
Absolutely not.
No, I didn't even realize what this creature was until about an hour before we started recording this.
I really want to use it now in a very broad like world and story sense.
Yeah, this really got me spinning.
So of course that brings us straight to homebrew ideas. Like what's off the top of your head? What makes you want to change, or what do you want to use the most? How do you want to fit it into your world?
Like most things in this vein, like in the celestial vein, I want this to be kind of a scion of sorts. Like I want to take all of it and I want to use all of it, and I want there to be a Ki-rin specific monk temple. Mm-hmm. So that's where they get their ki. They're divine soul monks. Like their ki is named after their patron, the Ki-rin, and they serve this Ki-rin who serves, I don't know, some god. I'm really bad with the Faerun pantheon.
Yeah, it's fine.
But something along those lines.
For sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious to go in that monk monastery kind of idea.
For sure. Especially with the plants and good aligned creatures gain a sort of vigor and evolve to a more idealized form.
It's very thematic, isn't it?
Yeah, it also strikes me as a little National Socialist. So I mean,
these things. It's hard. It's hard to avoid that going that direction. And I don't think you should like really fight that at all. I mean, these guys literally were introduced in the Oriental Adventures. Like
and I personally struggle with the idea of a set alignment structure. Like there aren't really gray areas in Dungeons and Dragons, which I really appreciate as a dungeon master, but as a human being, I struggle with those concepts that you neatly fit into these 9 boxes. Mm-hmm. So reading something like evolve into a more idealized form, I immediately go to like Dr. Mengele and like all of the terrible things that should or it does represent in culture. Whereas where my mind should go is to things like the Lotus Sutra. It's like make yourself better. Like pick one thing and become better.
I interpret that as they are physically changing on a biological level. They are becoming more like they will become healthier, stronger, that sort of thing, rather than a more philosophical or moral level. We're talking about like the plants and animals around being affected by this, right? And
good creatures.
Sure.
And that's where I think they would get the harvesting of their ki from. Like that's not a thing that people can just do.
Right.
So I think that's where that probably, maybe even where that word comes from, is their ability to use this essence that this creature helped them tame and focus, and that's how they evolved into a more idealized form. They're just all, like monks specifically, are just all around better at human things than humans are. There's not really a whole lot special about monks. Like when we get to sorcerers, they've got their innate spellcasting. Warlocks, they made a deal with the devil or, whatever. Wizards just studied real hard. Clerics were given the gift, whereas monks really, I think more than any other class, have to earn it through dedication. Like you can be naturally skilled as a fighter, and I guess you could probably be naturally skilled as a monk. But monks aren't about fighting; they're about betterness, and I think that's really truly reflected in this creature.
Efficient discipline.
Yeah. And it's not just betterness in one thing; it's betterness in all things. Yeah. And I think that's why Divine Soul really resonates with me with this specifically. I don't know. Again, I don't know if Ki-rins would be real in my world. But there is definitely now a Ki-rin monastery somewhere.
Yeah, there was I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But I had a drunk monk in my Australian campaign, and he was a brand new player. And between he and I, we had come up with a pretty cool, a very simple backstory. But he was a drunken master monk who was properly an alcoholic.
Okay,
and. But the background I had created around him is he was from a monastery that specialized, in the distilling of liquor. But as a whole, they basically were it was a prohibition.
Okay.
They did not consume. They
Gotcha.
did not indulge in the alcohol. And it was like, it was known that the younger acolytes would at some point, and they'd have a sip, they'd sneak some, and they'd sip, and then they'd go down to the local brothel downtown, or down the way, down the mountain. And it was kind of like assumed that this would happen, and every acolyte would go through it. But once they became, a full-fledged disciple of this monastery, it was all or nothing thing, right?
Yeah.
And so kind of like, I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones.
No.
But basically at the wall to the north, if you're a criminal, you get sent there, and then you're supposed to dedicate your life, and you become celibate. But they do sneak away sometimes and to the local brothel. And if they do, I'm pretty sure they're killed on sight or something like that in the lore. But
and that's what happened to Jon Snow, right?
Sure.
I don't know. I saw 2 episodes, I think. I think I know who Jon Snow is.
Yeah. But in any case, I really like the idea of these. We had like these monasteries. Also, I made sure they had other specializations. So like, basically had the way of the Kensei or Kensei. Do you know how to say that one?
I'm gonna say Kensei.
Kensei. Who use weapons specifically, but both were rivals. They were friendly rivals that both specialized in calligraphy as well.
Gotcha.
So there was this calligraphy background.
Okay.
That could have sort of created a rivalry and a friendship between these two monasteries. And I love the idea. Since reading this creature, I love the idea of their influences and this coming from a creature like the Ki-rin now. Where they specialize in these things, and they're proud of these things, and they don't flaunt them or anything, but that this is what they do, is what they've dedicated themselves to. But what got them started there? Well, they were taught. They were under the tutelage of one of these great and magnificent creatures.
For sure. And I mean, maybe their writing style, the calligraphic style is based on the movements of this majestic Ki-rin, and that's why it's big and loopy.
Yeah. Absolutely, like the flowing mane of golden fire, or something like that. Yeah,
or the tufts from the Ming Dynasty.
From the horse art.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would so happily use them in that regard. And I had another thought. I don't know if it would be a one shot or just a really unique way of starting a campaign. When they talk about the people that become disciples of a Ki-rin, they're usually people that have had the fortitude and the tenacity, were the words used, to reach their lair to begin with. And then they would be deemed worthy, and then they would often become a disciple as a result, because even though they were already so capable, once they get there, they must realize that there's much more for them to learn and much more for them to become better in all things. So they become these, it does specify that these disciples, these servants, they're not just monks necessarily. They operate in all kinds of ways: scouts, spies, champions for good against evil. And I love the idea of starting a campaign. We have multiple characters and say you can pick whatever class you like, but you start under the tutelage. You're leaving after being under the tutelage of this magnificent creature. What got you there to begin with? Okay. Why did you approach the Ki-rin to begin with? How long have you been a disciple, and where do you think this creature would send you? And that's the starting note of a campaign.
Yeah. And all of your backgrounds are acolyte.
Everyone's an acolyte.
That's cool. I like the idea of a common background a lot more than I like the idea of a common class. I think that's real neat. You just have an arcane trickster who has a Ki-rin tattoo on his arm and shit like that. Like
so cool.
That's his dedication, is that he had to sit through that when he's so used to moving and bouncing and shit.
And just imagine if you had a player that's they've been one player's decided I've been under the tutelage of this creature for hundreds of years. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, do you remember what it's like to be outside of the lair and its lands? Probably not. The world has changed since you last saw it. And it'd be really cool to just have a multitude of characters with different timelines and different reasons for being there to begin with. You venture out in the world and to very likely thwart evil that's at hand, that's on a mission passed down to you from a creature that's, for all intents and purposes, a god to you, who is also serving a god to it.
Yeah, the creature's like a warden. So,
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that a lot. I mean, there's a lot here that you can really, really play with. I cannot for the life of me, and I've been trying to think about it all day, is how I would just incorporate one into a campaign without it being like a plot point.
Right.
And I can't think of it. One of the things I like doing with creatures is thinking about how they just fit into the background of my world. Mm-hmm. I don't see a place for the Ki-rin in my world other than something like that. Like they just exist in the background. There's like you guys just encountered a place recently that just magic did not work.
Right.
You never really figured out why magic didn't work there. But I like throwing shit in like that. Mm-hmm. Like you don't interact with the Ki-rin, but the foliage is just fucking lush.
Right.
Like the dopest tasting mushrooms you've ever had in your life. Like you can just drink the syrup coming out of these maple trees. Like that kind of shit. Like you see the effects of the creature on the world, but you don't actually meet the creature itself. So I have no fucking idea why you would need a Ki-rin unless I really wanted to like ram down your throat that you're a force of good and you didn't know it. Like this could be the rationale or the turning point where you as a party realize that, oh shit, this Ki-rin just came to us. Oh, maybe we are doing good in the world. Yeah. What are we actually doing?
It makes you think of experiencing those environmental effects. Like, it's so often that you won't, that a character won't find out why they're there. But imagine also, we both thought that it was really cool that the mechanic of the regional effects for this creature, that, even if you were to deliberately poison the water, it would only last 3 minutes. That your PCs could walk by a stream, and that could be the case for this stream. What are the chances of them ever finding that out? Like the chances of them just deliberately poisoning a stream, like what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean,
the only thing I could think of that might be kind of cool is if you had a group of players who genuinely thought they were the good guys and had to do a terrible thing in the rivaling country or land or emperor or army or whatever, and they actually do attempt to poison a reservoir or something like that, and then they find out that it didn't work because this land is under the protection of one of these extraordinarily good creatures. And then maybe they stop and think, shit, are we on the right side?
Yeah, even in an evil campaign, mechanically, these don't work well enough, and I don't see them working well enough in combat for them to be like the villain of an evil campaign. Like you guys all play bugbears, and you want to go out and smash humans. And it's like this Ki-rin shows up, and it's like, I'll poke you with my horn, and I'll cast major illusion, and I'll get the fuck out of dodge, and I'll heal one of you by accident. But like like it really seems like it's a like more of a plot device, like a moral standing plot device, a moral compass than anything. Yeah. So I mean, you guys are in kind of that situation, whether you truly realize it or not. There's this big war going on in the background because as much as I try and get away from politically aligned campaigns, I can't. I need some political background to keep me interested. So I mean that could be something that takes you there. Like you don't like war. There is no black and white, and that's something that I've made you guys experience very viscerally. I don't know if you remember the orc bar mitzvah, but you might not have been here for that.
I don't. No.
So one of the things I did to show in my world that there's not always things aren't always bad is the PCs kind of came upon this orc ceremony that was going on in the trees, and the orcs defended themselves. They attacked first because the players were interrupting a ritual. Right. The ritual was this orc child was ascending to full druidic form. Oh, okay. So they were
coming of age.
Coming of age, yeah. So it was this orc druid bar mitzvah that the PCs not only stopped, they murdered everybody in the tribe but the kid. Oh my god. Maybe the tribe leader. I'm sure my fiance could correct me on that, but it's to this day I think it still haunts her that they just without asking it, like without questioning the morality of these orcs, like they weren't doing anything. They just started firing upon the PCs because you can't interrupt that ceremony. Right. And they just told them that you can't go further, and there was no non-lethal damage. There was nothing like that.
They just went in guns a-blazing.
They just went in guns a-blazing. So I like proving those points every now and again. And I think that this could be an interesting way to do that. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to hit you over the hammer with the morality hammer, or I'm going to hit you over the head with the morality hammer, and this Ki-rin says you're good. So whether you realize your deeds are good or not. Micro, they may not be good, but macro, they're again good in the Punnett Square. D&D
sure.
Values of it, and that's
total
all
side note.
subjective.
I love that. It's something that people should try to explore more, especially as a dungeon master. To really, if you can find a way to flip that on the heads of your PCs.
Yeah, feel free to steal that one too.
It's so easy. It really is so easy to just go in. Oh, they're orcs. We'll kill them, and not think twice about it. Yeah. It is difficult to make the result of those decisions make you question the next time you do it. But if you can do it successfully, that's good flavor, and that is something that will really resonate with your players for sure.
Also, thematically make it consistent. Mm-hmm. All of my worlds are racially even. There aren't any downtrodden races. There are some rarer ones in certain locales, and they get treated differently because of that. But there aren't any races or things that are universally shunned.
Right.
There is no hard and steadfast rule that goblins are evil and they're bad.
Right.
There are plenty of tribes who exhibit bad behavior in different parts of the world, but goblins as a whole are not bad. Like you could just go kill all the goblins in the world, but there are goblin tribes out there behind the scenes who are doing good for the land. Like they're filthy, nasty creatures. So I'm treating some of the more remote clans like dirty pigs. Were you here for the Goblin one shot? The Smashers?
Yep.
So the reason that forest and that swamp is so verdant is because the Goblin tribe is so dirty and gross.
Right.
Because all that gets fertilized into this swamp.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes stuff like that, I want everything to have an ecological impact, or at least some sort of impact on the world, and that's why I think the Ki-rin itself might be a myth. I know that mechanically it works in Bolas, but I think in my world it might just be a myth of how this Ki-rin monastery got started, or how monks in general found their ki. I think that's a cool story. It's one monk met a Ki-rin and it told him to channel his bodily soul energy, and that's how ki was invented. And that's how monks were created.
The class itself and the discipline and stuff. I love that. So. On that note, we'll finish here for sure.
I was a homebrew rant today.
Total side note, I just want to plug Matt Colville real quick, and I think everyone listening should go listen to. He's got a great YouTube series called Running the Game. It's still going?
Here and there. It's less updated than I would like, but
there are loads of episodes on it. Not all of them are short, but they are so informative from a perspective of a really long DM. Matt Colville's awesome, but he does have a specific one that's early on in the series that really resonated with me, and it's regarding alignment.
Okay.
And it really gives a crazy perspective that never occurred to me. And it even spawned a second episode. I think he, instead of doing his next topic for the next episode, he ended up doing another one giving examples of alignment in creatures and characters and that sort of thing, up to and including movie characters. Because we always see those Punnett squares with the, here's the Star Wars one for lawful evil and chaotic good and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so memed.
But right. But the thing, I won't be able to do it justice by any means, but I'll quickly touch on it. But what he does is he talks about how alignment shouldn't dictate how your character acts. Rather, how your character acts is determines what your alignment is. Your alignment can and would and should change fluidly, without necessarily having a huge impact on the game.
Yeah.
Games like Pathfinder have very specific mechanics regarding your alignment. 5e does not. To a degree.
To a degree. Sure, there's some paladinic effects specifically.
Not nearly as nitty-gritty as, say, Pathfinder is. But I really loved his perspective on approaching alignment in that way, where it's if you are lawful neutral and then you do something evil, well, you've done a lawful evil deed.
Yeah. So your alignment shifts. But
that doesn't necessarily change the entire world of your character. We put too much emphasis on the alignment itself as a dictator of what we can and cannot do.
It could though, and so specifically with Carl, he had a monk in one of our games who murdered a character that he had just met, and I shifted his alignment, and that character spent the rest of his life trying to atone for that sin,
right?
Because he just took the party on their word, and he literally ripped the throat out of the sorcerer. So I was like, you don't know who this is. You have no information to back this up other than the party's word, and this is an evil deed. So your alignment is going to shift, and I changed his alignment.
And of course, in that moment, that's it. It's like your alignment can be forcefully shifted for sure. And it's up to Carl to make the decision to accept it or fight against it. But that's just it. Like he could go ahead and start doing good deeds across the board.
And he did, yeah.
And he did.
Yeah, by the time Skull died, he was back to lawful good.
So it doesn't have to be a set in stone mechanic, and I recommend watching the video for sure, and you should give it a rewatch. I'm going to for sure.
Yeah, I plan to. And if I remember, I'll link that in the show notes as well, so you can just go into the description of the show and pick that up.
Yeah, awesome.
But I think that's going to do it for Ki-rin.
Ki-rin?
Oh, God. You can find us on Twitter at EncounterPod. You can email at us at info@encounterthis.ca. You can find us at our mediocre at best home on the web, encounterthis.ca. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/encounterthis. And if you feel like this was worth your time and you feel like giving us a couple of bucks a month like Corey Nash, you can hit us up at patreon.com/encounterthispod.
Our hero.
Thank you so much, listeners, and I hope you have a single-horned day, whatever that means.